Hello, hello. Welcome to podcast. It's been some time since I've recorded anything for this podcast. It's probably been I feel like almost 2 months. This is craziness. Welcome to 2022. I am so thrilled to be back here, to be speaking, to be hopefully inspiring, to be shifting perspectives, to be opening up the minds of the people, and to just sharing my personal perspective of the world. And, today we're talking about fear. We're talking about the title of this episode is How Fear is Playing Us and Tips on How to Overcome It. And this is exciting because this theme has been coming up. Fear has been a big theme for the past couple of years with the whole pandemic and everything like that, of course. So I've talked about it before in another episode, the fear of empowerment and the division of society. So this is basically going to just dive a little deeper into more of the details about how fear can actually mask itself. Because a lot of times people don't even realize that they are in fear, and it masks itself in ways where it makes us feel like, oh, no, 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 I'm living my truth, or oh, no, this isn't fear. Like, no, no, no. It has gotten us to a point, fear these days, where we don't even know what's real anymore. Anyways, the intention of this episode is to help you become more aware when fear takes over unconsciously and how to overcome it. So, fear does take over unconsciously, unfortunately, especially when we're not very present. And that's how a lot of us live a lot of the time, which is just very fight or flight, go, 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 stress, stress, stress. And when we're in that state, when our bodies are in that state, when our minds are in that state, when our soul is almost like separated from ourselves because we're living so much in the ego, which is very protective, very survival mode. When we are in that state, that is a natural, that's like we're basically an open channel for fear to come in because we're not living consciously. When we're living unconsciously, going through the motions again in survival mode, that's when our highest self is not present because we are not present. If we are not present in the moment, our highest self is a little bit distant from us. So when we are present in the moment, it's just a little tip. That will really help conquer any fear, or at least make you feel more empowered in the moment because your highest self actually has a chance to come through. Let's talk about the mantra for today's episode. Today's episode's mantra, it's 2 sentences. So feel free to take one of those sentences as your mantra, or you can take both, whatever feels like it resonates with you. All right, so the mantra today: even in the midst of chaos, I feed into faith rather than fear. So I'll repeat that first sentence again. Even in the midst of chaos, I feed into faith rather than fear. I love that because it's been chaotic for the past couple of years. So we can't just wait for the outside world to settle down for us to feel okay, because then we're going to be waiting forever. We don't want to wait forever. So the second sentence is everything is going to be okay, even when the external world is trying to tell us otherwise. Plain and simple. Everything is going to be okay, even when the external world is trying to tell us otherwise. So, when we can pick up on the fearful narratives, on the things like coming from the news and this and that, really giving the message that we need to be in fear, when we are feeding into that, then we are going to have that become our reality. The opposite of fear, in my opinion, is truth, because in truth, there is no fear. Fear is an illusion. When you are living in your truth, when you are living presently, when you are living completely in your truth, which most people, unless you're a monk, probably not the case, just because we're human and it's okay. This is why I'm talking about this, because we need these reminders. I need this reminder because I'm noticing, I've been one, especially during these past couple of years, to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I see this so clearly. What's going on? I can't believe so many people are in fear. Yet my fear has come through in subtle ways that I wasn't even aware of. And that's why I wanted to really talk about this, because I've experienced kind of awakening to my own fear, which I didn't know was fear. So these are all the different ways that fear can actually mask itself. Okay. And I'll go into some of them a little bit deeper. But this is just to show you, this list here is to show you that being in fear isn't running around screaming, ah, I'm so scared. A lot of times, again, it's unconscious. We don't even understand that we are living in fear. And the narratives, especially that are out there now, have been seeping into our consciousness, especially if you're constantly watching the news. This messaging will get into your consciousness and start to reshape your beliefs, even. And we have to watch out for that. All right. So fear masks itself as people pleasing, playing the ignorance card, lying. Um, it masks itself as illness, as disempowerment, as the truth. Fear masks itself as excuses, like, saying, I'm not ready. I'm just not ready to make the leap yet. I'm not ready. Lack of self-worth, which kind of goes along with that last one of I'm not ready. The distrust in self and in others. Fear masks itself in doing the quote unquote right thing. Fear masks itself as staying quiet and not speaking your own truth. It masks itself in attachments and procrastination, in blaming others and pointing fingers, in trying to control others, especially when you don't actually have control, gaslighting and manipulating, and reacting strongly and being very triggered. That's definitely a form of fear that is masked in a certain way that we see a lot of these days. A lot of uh, reactions, especially, I post a lot on social media, and especially in 2022, I'm becoming way less, okay, I'm becoming more unapologetic about what I'm saying, because before I would be very worried. I lived in fear. This is a very good example of how fear was taking over me and I didn't realize it. I was waking up every day feeling so deeply about the state of the world and how wrong it felt. My intuition was just ringing. These past like 2 years, my intuition has been going off. And when I don't listen to my intuition, and it was very much, I just felt this fire in me to speak and to tell the truth, to say the truth. And when I didn't do that, I felt okay, but it's like when you're not living in radical alignment, yeah, you still can feel okay, but it prevents you from living like a really crazy, awesome, thriving type of life. So I wasn't necessarily thriving, but I was fine. Once in a while I would post something or share something that someone else said because I wasn't saying it. That's another way that fear could mask itself, is you sharing someone else's words so it's not going to fall back on you. This is what I did for a long time. And now I'm starting to create my own posts. I'm starting to stand on my own 2 feet, and I'm starting to really stand up for what I'm saying. Now, this happened before, right in the beginning of the pandemic. I remember sharing something. It was a video about Robert Kennedy Jr., who talks a lot about the stuff that I like to talk about, which is just medical freedom and things like that. And I shared this video, and it was actually my best friend messaged me and said that this is dangerous what you're sharing. And now there's the fear that came through in that conversation. It came out in a couple different ways. It came out from her because she clearly was in fear that what I was saying is wrong and it's going to make a bad impact on society. That was her fear that she was projecting onto me, that what I was saying was wrong and it could hurt people. That was the way her fear came out and projected at me. Now, I also responded with fear. This is what we're doing these days. We're all in fear. It's crazy. And I responded and I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I I don't I don't even remember what I said, but I remember apologizing and pulling back and almost retracting the truth that I put out there that I felt really resonated with me. Whether it was right or wrong, doesn't matter, but it was a truth. It was a big, deep truth that I felt that I shared, and I immediately apologized and retracted because of fear. Because I didn't want her to be mad at me. I don't wanna make a bad impact on society. I don't want to be a danger. So I retracted and I said, "I'm sorry." Now, isn't that interesting? That whole entire conversation that we had was based on fear. It wasn't based on truth at all, at all. It's based on fear. Another message I got. And again, this is like it comes down to how fear masks itself is like the distrust in self. And I began to say, okay, maybe I don't trust myself with what I'm sharing. So I need to, figure out what I'm saying because clearly I'm wrong. And that's not true. Again, it was just fear that overtook me, which pulled me away from what I actually really wanted to share and brought me back into my ego of like, okay, what do people want to hear? What makes people feel better? And that is the people pleasing tendency that fear will have on you. If you are living in fear, a lot of times, you know, I've heard people say, "Oh, I just got the thing in my arm because it was inconvenient not to get it. I got it because everyone else was getting it." And that is fear. That means that you are scared if you don't get it, then you're going to be inconvenienced, and you probably will. But you're allowing that fear of the inconvenience overtake, logic and maybe research and proper education on what you're actually doing to your own on your own body. These are just really interesting ways to look at how fear comes through, because a lot of the time it is completely being masked by, it's okay, by even a big way that I'm seeing right now is by people like patting each other on the back, saying, "Oh, you did a good thing. You did a good thing. You're a good citizen. Thank you for being a good citizen." And that also is fear because it's like, okay, what you did for society is making me feel better and it's easing my fear. And we can't let people lead in that way where it's literally they're taking a fear based narrative, projecting it onto the public. And if you don't have that fear, then there's something wrong with you. Then you must be a conspiracy theorist. There must be something that you aren't getting. And that's what's happening right now. And it's really frustrating that people are playing the blame game, that people are pointing fingers and creating division in order to quote unquote create a healthier society and to stop the spread or something. I don't understand why, because when we are separating people and we are disempowering people in all of the ways, it's not going to lead to a healthier nation or to a healthier world. It's going to lead to more fear and more stress, which stress is it is the leading cause of a doctor's office visit. Stress. And that's exactly what we are being fed. And it seems like, I don't know why, but it seems like they want us to be stressed. It seems like the people on the news really want us to understand how many people are dying every day. How many cases there are, how many this, how many that. Fear, 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 fear being projected onto us continuously to the point where even me who doesn't watch the news, you start getting in your head, and that's exactly seemingly the agenda that is being given and that is in the background that clearly, we don't really know about, but we can kind of sense that there's something weird going on, especially with all of the censorship. I mean, that's another way that fear is being projected at us, is censoring doctors, censoring experts that just are questioning things as a scientist does. You have to question things if you want to follow science, right? But if we're not questioning things, that's also living in fear. If we are blindly complying, that is living in fear. That is living in fear when we are blindly complying. I'm not saying if you go and get the thing that you are living in fear, but a lot of people are doing it out of fear, unfortunately. And this is a medical decision that we should make from a really empowered place, not a disempowered place where we feel, oh my God, I'm going to die. So I have to make this decision. That is no way to make any decision. And if any doctor or leader, quote unquote, leader is telling you how to think and telling you what to do, even though it is your sacred body, that is a fear-based recommendation. And I always look behind those fear-based recommendations. I've gone onto the CDC website. I've gone onto these websites. I look at the data. And it's quite interesting that a lot of these recommendations don't have adequate data to back them up. Simply put. And even if I found a bunch of data that did say, okay, maybe maybe my risk is, maybe my risk is a little bit different because now I have this data. That's my decision to make. That's my decision to make. It's not anyone else's. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're the president. I don't care if you're the queen. I don't care who you are. It's my body. I'm not getting something to respect. I got a message that saying, I really hope that you get it because that's the only thing the healthcare workers are asking of us. So we really need to help them out by doing this to our bodies. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What? Don't call me disrespectful for not putting something into my body that's not going to help me. It might help me, but I am choosing not to get it, and that's my risk that I'm taking. It's affecting no one else. Nobody else. My decision is affecting nobody else. In fact, I've driven across the country 2 times during 2020. 2020? I don't even know. During the pandemic, I drove across the country twice. I never got sick once, never got anyone sick. Everyone here in New York is sick. I'm not sick. If I do get sick, then I am going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. If you don't trust that, then I'm sorry that you don't trust my personal decision, but you don't have to live in fear over this. I'm going on a little bit of a rant on the state of the world right now because this is where the fear is really being played up. And it's being played up a lot by, again, leaders, like quote unquote, the leaders. Leaders do not lead with fear. They don't make you feel disempowered. They make you feel like you know the information and you can make a very knowledgeable decision based on that information that they're giving you. But no, they're giving you a little bit of the information and yelling at you if you're not making the right decision. That's not a leader. That's not leadership. And I hope we understand that. And I hope we can all come together and not lead our lives with such fearful lenses so we can clearly see the truth of what is going on. And I had someone ask me, well, what's going on? You can't tell me what's going on? Something's fishy? Is that just it? All you anti-Vs, it's just fishy. That's all you have to say? I'm like, oh my gosh, well, where do you want me to start? Where do you want me to start? Because, just watch one of the videos I posted, just one of them, anything. Start opening up the mind a little bit. Let's not attack each other for the things that we believe or post or whatever. Let's just start understanding why people are so passionate about, like me, I'm very passionate about holistic health. We can get curious about that. And I guess I probably should mention all of the ways we can. I have a list of how we can overcome this fear, especially these days when fear is it's like the secret ingredient that is just being used always and people aren't even aware of it, which is the scariest part. So, all right, let's go over 10 ways to help conquer your fear. So the first one, especially again these days, is to research and to look up facts, to read books, and to get your brain like moving and knowing things, like hard facts, not recommendations, not clicking on the CDC website just to see what they recommend. Look up the hard facts because that will help you understand deeply at a data level what is going on. And I have to say, it's pretty tough to do that for the average person. But if you take some time to really look at certain things, not New York Times, not CNN, I'm talking like data, like go to Google Scholar, go to these places that are trusting, that has data that we can trust, but also make sure you look at who is funding this research that you're looking at too, because that's a whole other story that is sketchy. And I'll leave it at that. All right, number 2. So the first one is do research. That will really help you feel more confident in what you know, so you won't be as shaken if someone questions what you believe. All right, next, become curious. Ask questions that you've never asked before. Curiosity is one of the best tools to use for sure. Um, when we ask questions that we've never asked before, we will be able to come up with answers that we've never come across before. So think about the questions that you're asking. Instead of asking yourself, "Oh my God, why me?" or "Holy shit, why is the world like this?" That's not going to help us feel necessarily better about what's going on. What it's going to help us do is when we frame questions in an empowering way, like, I wonder what this percentage rate is, or, oh, I wonder, let me look this up. When we can become curious, we'll definitely come up with answers going along with number 1 with the research. Okay, so 1, research; 2, curiosity; 3 is to create. When you are creating, you are in the empowerment seat rather than the disempowerment seat. When you are in creation mode, there is no way for you to be in reaction mode because you're present, you're connected to source energy. There's no fear in source energy. So get creating, whatever it is. Maybe it's writing, maybe it is painting, maybe it is making a collage. There's so many fun things that we can do with creativity that will connect us to source, which disconnects us from fear. Highly recommend creating is number 3. Number 4, have an open and respectful conversation with those who agree and those who disagree with you as well. When we can try to understand opposing views, the real narrative doesn't seem so scary after all. Division and fear is not something that will be able to stay in the winners. Like it's not going to be something that will continuously win. If we are able to put our egos aside and allow a conversation to happen with someone who we don't agree with. Now, I don't agree with my mom personally on the what's going on in the state of the world. We've had some conversations. Unfortunately, it's really hard when I speak to family because that's like the biggest triggers. Am I right? Right. That's like the biggest. It's the hardest thing for me. But we still we still talk and we still disagree and we still love each other. So that's really cool that we can do that. And I think that even though she doesn't necessarily get what I am saying, I think that it still seeps into her consciousness. And I respect what she says too, except for when I'm being told what to do with my body. That is something that I cannot stand for. But other than that, like I'm gonna love her no matter what she believes. And I hope that we can all do that for all of us humans. All right, number 6 is harness confidence. When you are confident in what your truth is and what you stand for, there's no reason to fear, right? There is no reason to be shaken if you have done the inner work to stabilize yourself in this ever shaking world. Confidence. When you're confident, it doesn't matter what someone messages you or points out to you or tries to belittle you or anything like that. Because when you know your truth, when you're confident in your truth and what you know and what you feel is really truly resonating to you, and you are connected to that, it doesn't matter what other people say. And there's not going to be fear of judgment or any of that crap, because fear of judgment has debilitated so many lives that they die with their dreams inside of them. And let's not let that happen to us, okay? I know that's traumatic, but it's so true. Okay, this is one of my favorites. Number 7 is be of service. When you are in fear, a lot of times fear also comes through as anxiety and just stress and like a disconnection from self. But what helps us connect back to ourselves, our truth, is to be of service. Someday you'll look back at this time and remember what your role was. What's your role right now? Are you running around scared? Are you helping people? Are you uplifting others? Or are you focused on bringing other people down? Chances are you're probably living in fear if you're trying to bring other people down, because you're probably scared that if other people don't make the right decision, you are going to suffer. And that's not anywhere to be living consciously in this world. Otherwise, you're going to suffer. You're just setting yourself up for suffering. And yeah, this world is painful and people do things that are painful, but we don't need to suffer because of other people's decisions. That's a personal decision. If you want to suffer because of the way that other people are living, that's your choice. It's no one else's fault but your own if you are choosing to suffer because of what other people are choosing, especially if they're choosing to do something with their own body. We can't be mad at what other people are doing with their own bodies. We just can't be. That's not our place. And we're being taught right now it is our place. It's not. Okay, next. Number 8, say something you've been scared to say. Doing this will show you that you will not die. You can speak and receive feedback without your soul exploding. In fact, doing this will allow number 4 to occur, which is have an open and respectful conversation with people that agree and disagree with you. So speak up. That is going to show your conscious and unconscious mind that you are worthy, that you are confident, you're going to survive, you're going to be okay when you speak your truth. It doesn't have to be so serious. I used to hold back my voice so much because I was so scared of being judged and I didn't want to offend anyone. I was scared of offending people, literally putting my own feelings aside for the world. And that's not going to help our world. When we all individually do what's best for ourselves and speak our truths, ultimately that is going to help ourselves and each other. Number 9, phone a friend. We all need that person who is always on the same page as us, that confidant, that sister from another mister, or just like a real sister. Share your heart with someone who will hold it without judgment. We all need a safe space to explore, cry, laugh, and vent. So you might need to just kind of explain that you're feeling a certain way. And even just by explaining how you're feeling, whether it's anxious or stressed or like you can't reach a goal that you're working towards, if you're attached to something, you're in a bad relationship, there's something going on where there is fear involved, chances are there probably is. It's important to speak on it and not to say like, to neglect it or to reject the way you're feeling, especially if you do understand that it's fear. A lot of times we don't want to even admit it, even when we know, even when we kind of know that it's fear, we don't want to admit it because our egos are so freaking strong. We don't want to be wrong. We don't want to be living in a way that's misaligned, which is in fear. That's not something that people want to admit. And no one wants to admit that we're living in fear. So when we're able to pick up the phone with that person who you can speak your truth to, that will bring you back to your truth. That will bring you back, because even if you're speaking like, oh my God, I'm so scared this is going to happen, just like I'm doing with my best friend the past few days, we've been talking and she's really helping me. And I'm telling her I'm scared. I'm telling her that I am scared, just my own personal situation that I'm going on. And I'm openly saying this because I know that's going to help transmute it. Whereas before I might have said, no, 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 everything's fine. Everything is going to be all right. And moving on. Let's just move on. And yes, it is good to move on and not hang on to the shit, but we have to make sure we're working through it instead of just like pushing the shit to the side. And then eventually it's going to come back to the surface. Okay. So 9 is phone a friend. Number 10, I like this one the best. It's have some motherfucking fun. Life is not meant to be serious. It's not meant to be evil. It's not meant to be hard. Okay. Life is meant to be fun. It's meant to be experienced. It's meant to be sad and happy and sad and happy. Let's accept all of the things that come with life. But especially when it comes to transmuting fear, we have to remember to have fun. We can't have fun and fear at the same time. I mean, maybe we can. I don't know. Who knows? These days, I think we probably can, because us humans, we are going through it. We are going through it with this season in history. It's insane what we are a part of, right? It is insane what we're a part of this time in history, but it's exciting. It's heartbreaking for so many people. And I'm so sorry if this time in history has hurt you, your loved ones, if things have gone wrong, if you've been hit hard by this time. I'm really sorry and I'm with you. But we can't let this narrative of this time take over and pull us back from our nature, which is living in truth, which is having fun, which is smiling and laughing, creating memories and loving hard on the people that are close to us, rather than segregating away from others, discriminating against others, pointing fingers at others, blaming others. That's not going to solve anything, no matter what your stance is. That's not going to solve anything. We need to come together. We have to come together if we want to get over this, if we want to actually see this thing end. I mean, turn off the news, then it's over, right? No. Okay. Anyways, I think that I made my point here that fear comes up in a lot of ways that is masked. And oftentimes people don't even know that they are in fear, including myself. Attachments is a big one too. When you are scared, like a relationship, you don't want to let it go because you're scared, but you know that it's best for you. That's a tough one. But these are the things that we can start thinking about. How is my fear taking over? Is it my attachments? Am I telling myself I'm not worthy? Am I telling myself I'm not ready? Am I feeling disempowered? Am I feeling not able to do these things? Am I feeling like my truth is not worthy of being spoken? Am I feeling like I'm just constantly procrastinating from saying what I really want to say or doing what I really want to do? Am I people pleasing? These are questions to ask yourself, and they will reveal to you if you are in fact living in fear. And you know what? Either way, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Knowledge is power. And when we can really wrap our minds around our realities and our attachments and our maybe the ignorance that we keep pulling up, being like, oh, I don't know any better. I don't know any better. We do know better. We do know better. Let's get healthier by keeping our minds at ease, our bodies at ease, mind, body, soul, all of the elements. Let's stay centered. Let's stay connected. Let's spend 5 to 10 minutes every day, at least, connecting inward. Fear is not going to take over unless we let it. So let's not. Truth shall prevail. Faith wins. Love wins. Light wins. We got this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for leaving a comment, for liking, for all of the things. I'm going to be speaking a lot more about this kind of stuff in 2022. So get ready for that. Thank you so much. I will catch you next time on podcast. Peace out.